Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, episode...
Ow!
121.
Whoa.
This is Chris, and joining me as always are...
Ames. Caitlin.
And... Jake.
Nice. This week we will be looking at A Fistful of Datas. And The Quality of Life.
That woman banged those robots.
Did you see they had those little assholes on the back?
I mean, you
They
cannot...
could replicate a fist?
I mean, you cannot tell me they weren't able to replicate dildos.
Yeah, they had they could replicate whatever tool they needed.
Yeah.
Gonna need a bigger tool for this job, buddy.
You know why the real reason that Doctor Woman was so pissed off about Data's theory? Because she's like, oh my god, what have they seen? They've seen everything. There's
They've
three
seen
of
it
them.
all.
From the inside.
First up in A Fistful of Datas. Just so you know, listeners, every thump is accompanied by a fisting gesture by Jake.
It's the international sign.
Every one of them.
For fisting.
Mm-hmm. And the sound, because this is a audio podcast, so you have to include the sound.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Fistful of Datas. The Enterprise is due to rendezvous with another ship for a supply exchange or something, but the other ship is delayed or some such.
Jerks.
Worf desperately tries to, get extra work to do, and Picard is like, dude, just chill, what's wrong? What's wrong is his idiot son wants to play a stupid video game for jerks.
The worst.
And since he can't get out of it, Worf's gonna go play Old West with fucking... I will get to that. With Alexander and Counselor Troy. Meanwhile, Geordi and Data decide to do some hooey with the computer to see if basically Data could be a backup system.
Wait, so Leah Brahms, both of them at the same time? Is that the hooey you mean with the computer?
To see if Data could be a backup system.
Because that's always a good idea.
Yeah, but then it starts to leak aspects of his personality and such into the computer.
And vice versa.
Yes. So he starts talking all cowboy. And then after about 30 torturous minutes of just wanting to get to this already, some of the characters in the holodeck start turning into Data.
You wanted to get to that?
Yes,
You're
it was the
weird.
only good part in the whole fucking show.
Truth.
I have a question though.
Tell me about the hooey.
The country dialect you're talking about now, is that contemporary country, or would you say that it was from the...
It's a Wild West.
Yes.
We can do Wild Wild.
So, and of course they can't end the program, and if they die in the program, they die in real life. So they just need to get to the end of the program, so they'll turn off naturally, because I'm not sure why they assume that'll work since nothing else is working. But hey, guess what? It works. And we get a very brief moment of Data in drag, and that joke hasn't aged well.
I wish they
Yeah, that's
kissed.
true. It was too bad. I wish they had too.
If it were 5 years later, they would have made out.
Yeah. Then, in The Quality of Life, the Enterprise is sent to inspect some sort of new, what frankly looks like a really inefficient, but supposedly way more efficient mining method, where instead of mining on the planet, you shoot a laser from space.
I'm surprised they haven't been doing that already.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, it's also because it's not just cutting, because they have that because the Romulans use it.
That's true.
I think the other part was that it also extracted trace elements.
Oh, did it? Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, because the stuff that they were mining was really rare shit, and it's hard to mine. But this particle beam can suck it out.
I see. So it's a bit of a... It's not working quite up to speed yet. Geordi goes over to help. Something starts to break, and they're like, oh god, we have to deal with this fast. But it turns out that the head person of the project, whose name is Dr. Farrellan?
Yes.
Farrellan? Farrellan has exocomps, wee little early 90s toy-looking things.
They were very cute.
They were.
They look like mouse droids.
I want Jake to 3D print one so it could be friends with our 3D printed Nomad.
There you go.
Oh my god, 3D print one.
So the exocomp is a little wee robot that can get into places people can't, and it has a tiny replicator on its snout that can make tools that it needs. And, one of them is...
Grumpy, Dopey, and Doc.
Yes.
What are we talking about?
I just kind of blanked on what happens next.
Grumpy, bashful. sleepy.
Yeah.
They try to send one to his death.
Right, they try to send one to its death, and it's like, I don't wanna. And, something explodes where it would have been, and Data's like, oh shit, are these alive? And Data's like, let's have a test to see if they're alive. And the doctor who made them is like, what? No, this is stupid. They're not alive. And, she was all chuffed to see Data when he first came aboard and saw these questions. But the minute he's like...
fistful of data.
She did. But then the minute he's like, these might be alive, she's very shirty at him. So, ooh, no.
Oh, Dr. Noonien Sung's accomplishment. Fuck you, bitch.
So they run a test, and it seems to prove that no, they're probably not alive by faking the same sort of situation that the other one avoided. But then they realize, oh wait, no, it was just smart enough to know it was fake and was turning off the test. And then, things start to go critical on the station, of course, when Picard is over there. And they're like, well, we have to send the exocomps to kerplode themselves to save the day. And Data turns off the transporter and is like, double bird flip. And they're like, but, he's like, they might be alive. They're like, son of a bitch. Like, all right, what if we ask the exocomps to go over? They're like, all right. So they basically push some buttons and like, come on, exocomps. The exocomps are like, your plan is dumb. Here's a better one. And then they agree to go over, and they do. And one sacrifices its potential life. The other two come back, and Picard and everyone's fine. And
Farrellan turns them off because they're too scary.
yeah, pretty much. And that's this week.
The implication! Ah!
Dr. Venture!
What were the name of the robots from Silent Running?
Never seen it. Couldn't tell you.
Running?
I don't know it.
I don't know. It kind of reminded me of that because it was like not really reminded me of that because it's nothing like it. But
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad.
there's
I'm glad you're insane.
It's a thing. It's a thing where there are 3 robots and
Okay.
and he was made friends.
We'll do
The
a
Three
tenfold.
Amigos?
They
That
were
sounds right.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Huey,
Probably.
Dewey, and Louie.
So the thing Caitlin was hinting at repeatedly during the intro
She's very proud of herself.
is something that pissed me off to no end in Fistful
That's
of
why I'm
Datas.
so proud of myself, because I know how
I
angry it made
stuck
me.
it up the butt.
The
You heard.
ancient West. Every time they called it that, I died a little inside.
It's to let you know that it's the future.
The 19th century was only 500 years in their past. It would be like if in the 1990s we were calling the 1400s ancient times. We weren't.
Well, also, they were
I was.
literally a few weeks earlier, they were in the, quote, ancient West.
That's true.
You know?
But it's like, it's not ancient to you. It's old as fuck, yeah, but
yeah.
not as old as you're pretending.
Because, like, ancient specifically refers to antiquity. Like,
Yeah.
where we don't know anything about it except what we learned from looking at ruins and, scraps of documents and pottery and shit like
Well,
that.
some documents have survived some plays and poetry.
Yeah,
and shit.
sure. But, like, when we talk about, like, ancient shit, we're talking about ancient shit.
Yeah.
The stuff that's so old that there's...
Pre-medieval.
Yeah. Like, you wouldn't call Christopher Columbus ancient.
Right, that's right. We didn't, in the 1990s, we
I'd
were
call
calling...
them lots of things.
Yeah,
I would
but not
too.
ancient. Like that. But, yeah, exactly. In 1992, I remember them sort of celebrating the
1492.
Well, in 1992, they were celebrating the 500th anniversary of, Columbus's fuckery. And yeah, it wasn't the ancient times with Columbus. It was Columbus, that
But
dickhead
also,
crashing
the
into America.
Old West is already called the Old West. You wouldn't rename a historical period
Yeah, no.
because it's longer ago.
What is it now? The even older West?
It was the Old West when it wasn't even a century past, for Christ's
What
sake.
are they calling ancient Egypt now? Ancienter Egypt?
Yeah, seriously, it's just...
But back in, like, Caesar's time, they called that Old Egypt.
But it was just one of those things, it was like a stupid, cheap, it's the future gag that belongs in a bad children's show, not in Star Trek.
This kind of was a bad children's show.
Oh, it's a terrible episode.
Yeah, it's real bad.
yeah,
I don't
it's
even
got
know if we
Alexander in it.
how much we even need to talk about this one. It's just such garbage.
It's really, like, I was like, all right, I couldn't remember if I've ever seen this one, but I was like, okay, I know this is the one where, like, everyone starts turning into Data. I was expecting most of the episode to be, let's watch Brent Spiner play a bunch of different Western
I have
characters.
so much fun.
And then it turns out, no, most of it is...
Worf being moody and Troy pulling a new accent.
Yeah, and
Troy
like...
was good, though, in this episode. This
She
was
was
some of her best
fine.
work.
But yeah, like, it's just... Oh, God, and, it was all this slow lead up, like, oh, where did... Also, what the fuck, Riker? Those obviously aren't your lines. Why did you read so much of it? You had just done the scene
He's
a second
a bad
ago.
actor. He just
Yeah.
he's just an actor who reads. He doesn't.
Wait, what did he do?
He read Data's poetry.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
they were doing a second or third or God knows what run of a scene. So even if he didn't have his lines memorized, he should have known right away those weren't his fucking lines.
Maybe he figured, like, they were trying to prank him and he was going to go along with it.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, he's like, oh, because I was at this stupid poetry reading. I remember when Data said this crap. So Bev is goofing me, so I'll just go along. I don't know. He actually didn't play it that way, though. He played it pretty straight. So
Yeah.
maybe he's just a really good actor.
That's obviously what it is.
Although, as we've learned, Bev is probably a shitty director.
Speaking of really good actors, Patrick Stewart directed this.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Too bad they didn't give him a better script to work
Yeah.
with.
Apparently, he read or he watched like classic westerns all week to prepare. He read like two or watched like two a night. The original title of this episode was "The Good, the Bad, and the Klingon," which makes me roll my eyes a lot. But
They're both bad.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, they're both, either one is a play on
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood movie. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're both spaghetti westerns, whereas these are very much more like...
It
This
should
is
have
very
been called
much...
Once Upon a Time in the Holodeck. Eh?
They're goth westerns.
What I was going to say is, though, these are clearly more based on American Western stereotypes.
Yeah, I know. Like Patrick Stewart, like had a lot of times where he'd mimic things that you saw from the.
I don't know. The showdown in the town square is a trope of the spaghetti western.
The showdown in this episode looked so fucking pointless to me. So Worf concocts this, human or, Klingon shield to keep the Data thing from shooting at him.
But that's a reference to A Fistful of Dollars.
Did he have a shield?
He had a body. He had like a plate under his shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is also parodied in Back to the Future 3.
That's right.
It was the rest of either side's plan during this shootout that had me entirely baffled. Because Frank Hollander, the character that Data ends up playing, has guys all over the fucking town ready to shoot at them. There's guys on the roof, there's guys over here, there's like 4 or 5 guys with pistols ready to go. And none of them get to shoot. Meanwhile, Worf's got his shield and one Troy hidden away.
But here's the thing, though, and here's why I give that a pass. I'm okay with that having happened that way. Like, because, yeah, if this was a real Old West shootout, Worf would have been melted within milliseconds.
Yeah.
But here's the problem.
But he's the hero of this Western.
Exactly. He's the hero of the Western.
But Alexander wrote it.
And they're the villains.
With Barkley.
And Troy does point out that they have the dexterity and speed of and accuracy of Data, but they're still, it's like the Matrix. It's like the agents, yeah, they're super fucking fast, but they're still limited
to the world,
at least until the second movie when they're just nonsense. But in the first movie, like, you could still, if you could hit them, you could kill them.
Yeah. In the only good Matrix movie.
Yeah. So I kind of look at it like that. Like, they were limited by what the narrative allowed, but if the narrative would have allowed them to shoot Worf from the rooftop.
Oh, that's right. And Alexander put it on what? Difficulty level 4 or something?
Mm-hmm.
Something, yeah.
I think Guinan would have been a way better companion than Troy,
You can say that about any episode.
Well, true.
I will say, I'm reviewing my
Because
notes.
she was in the Old West. She was
Yeah,
hanging
it's
out
true.
with Sam
Mark
Clemens.
Twain. I loved Troy's shirt, though. I want that shirt.
I don't remember it now.
It had a wonderful sort of floral paisley pattern. You know me, I like loud shirts.
I don't know. I really thought that she did a good job in that role, though. I thought it was interesting. And she was definitely meant to be, like, a pretty powerful
Yeah, it's just
character.
she did well with what she was given. I just think, again, the whole episode was shit.
Just wasn't as
Yeah.
bad
Yeah, it
as
was
it
dumb.
could
It
have
was
been.
tedious.
Because she could have been the one, like, running the inn.
Yeah.
Who was, like, in love with Worf and...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at least they gave her something more interesting to do than just be, like, the pretty female.
Yeah,
they
no,
made
that's-
her
You
like the
know who
desperado.
hasn't had much to do lately is Worf. And I was wondering, like, do we get another good Klingon, a big
Well,
Klingon
we got a
plot?
couple, actually.
Or
I mean,
since we've got Alexander, did they stop doing
No,
those?
because we get Birthright is a Klingon 2-parter that's coming up. That's exclusively a Worf show.
And
pretty
remember,
much.
Ames, we've got a whole nother series
got,
to watch that we have good options for.
Yeah,
awesome Worf.
the real meat and potato. Oh, there's Rightful Heir coming up. But yeah, the real meat and potatoes of the Klingon arc doesn't hit until midway through DS9, and that's where it gets good.
All right. I just feel like since Alexander has shown up and they've shoehorned him into every episode they can, it's just been taking a toll on the Worf character.
Yeah.
Taking a toll on all of our characters
It
as
certainly has. Mars.
I was just like, no. Because at first I was like, why does Worf want more work? And then they showed, like, does that mean you can do it? And I was like, oh, Worf, you son of a bitch.
Sir, please, I will stay here and just lick your asshole. Something.
Yeah.
Please, I do not want to play video games with my son.
Especially a video game that Barkley helped write.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, how
Oof.
much of his semen is on the inside of the programming for that, do we think?
Ugh.
It's all inside the Annie Myers character, don't worry.
Poor Worf's gonna get sloppy seconds.
He doesn't want them.
Well, yeah, I mean, but
Nobody
remember
wants sloppy seconds, Chris.
that horny barkeep has the speed, dexterity, and accuracy of Data. So
Ooh.
Worf's pelvis is all but destroyed.
Death by Schnoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think
What a way to go.
anatomically would the
This
barkeep
is going a
would
weird
the
place.
barkeep have
Two
had
vaginas?
vagina or peener? Because it's Data, but he had titties.
Did he have titties? I don't think he had titties.
When he was the barkeep? I
Yeah,
think so.
he looked flat.
Oh, maybe I just imagined titties then.
You're weird.
When aren't you imagining titties?
Yeah. How much fucking time did we spend in that goddamn jail?
With Alexander or with Eli Hollander?
With Eli and just hanging around in that fucking jail, jawing over what they're gonna do.
Yeah, this
Not
was
that
like a
long.
half episode. This didn't feel like
Well, then
fully...
and then all the stuff outside of it. Like we could have gotten this episode started in the teaser, right? We could have instead of ending the teaser with Worf putting on the hat, we could have had the end of the teaser so they go into the holodeck and there's a new sheriff in town. Or no, we start the Data experiment with LaForge in the teaser.
In the holodeck.
No, outside
with
the
the
holodeck.
knife.
The one in the engineering.
Yeah, so we do that in the teaser, and then we end the teaser with them going into the holodeck, and that way you can fucking start the episode with the problem already set in motion. You don't have to spend half the episode.
The problem being that data is popping up wherever he wants.
In the computer.
Yeah.
That's true. It did take a long
You
time.
can reveal that way earlier.
It took a long time watching Picard playing his orchestral suite.
Yeah.
Watching Bev try to act.
Yeah, and like as much as I like the joke about Picard trying to learn the flute and people keep interrupting him,
Yeah, what did they
it was
really
unnecessary for this episode.
Completely.
That's true.
Also, he's a fucking flute master. He spent a lifetime learning that fucking flute.
Yep.
It was only 25 minutes, though. Remember.
That's true.
Oh, and do you notice the ship flew off into the sunset at the end?
Yes, I did notice that.
Oh, I
Like
didn't.
an old Western. Get it? Because it was a Western?
Ancient West.
I didn't give it a time. I just said Western.
Oh.
Yeah, as much as like this, I cannot really lay too much on Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, no, he
as
was
a
just
director.
directed the script he was given.
Yeah, but also like in TV
And he had
directors don't
Alexander.
get as much. They just show up for the week and get it done.
Yeah.
I did read somewhere that Patrick Stewart happened to have an episode of Red Dwarf on without knowing what it was, and it was the episode. It's called Gunman of the Apocalypse, which is about it's got an ancient Western plot in there, and Stewart watches it and thinks that it's plagiarizing this show until he realizes, oh, it's a comedy.
Huh.
Which I ended up going and I found the episode and I watched it. So this is the second episode of Red Dwarf I've watched for this fucking show.
Why do you keep doing that? You don't seem to like it.
I don't, but I want to know what the fuck they're talking about. And I don't know, watching more than 5 seconds of it, how you can not know it's a comedy.
I will say, Red Dwarf is set so far in the future that if they wanted to call the Old West the Ancient West, they would be justified.
Fair.
What about Firefly? What do they call the Old West?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Oh, I was going to make the joke that they call it now.
I
Sorry.
don't think they...
Well, because basically every place they go is just an Old West planet. Like everything,
Well, yeah,
everything
because
is the Old
it's a
West.
space western, that's why.
Yeah, but it's like but no. See, that's the thing. Star Wars.
We'll never get out of
Actually,
this.
I would even go so far as to say the original Star Trek was a space western.
Well, yeah, it was he pitched it as Wagon Train to the Stars.
And I think Joss Whedon, when he came up with Firefly, took that term literally and was like, yeah, I'm going to do a Western in space. And they're going to dress like cowboys and carry 6-irons. And, they're going to do cowboy shit. And there's going to be cattle drives in space.
Not any cattle drives.
There's an episode where they're taking cattle. and then the cat will get kidnapped by robbers, and then the boy
and
they get kidnapped by Christians and burned at the stake or something.
Spoilers.
Anyway, it's a good show. Don't get me wrong. I like Firefly an awful lot, and you should watch it, Chris. It's very good.
We should do a miniseries.
It is very good.
I would love to.
It is relatively short because it got canceled very
it's only
early.
a season long. So it's a great show, but saying that it's a space western, yes, it is, but it's like took it very, very literally.
Yeah, no, it's
I
not
didn't say like Cowboy Bebop.
That's
right?
what I was going to bring
Which
up.
is
That's
like,
a space western, but it's less.
It's a little it's got some western tropes,
but it's still science fiction more than a western.
Exactly.
Anyway, I have something important to discuss.
Yes.
This was our first appearance of the orange tabby spot?
I think so.
I think
Maybe?
this is our first non-Somali spot.
So how
And it's
how
always
does
lovely
Data
to see
keep
her.
killing these cats? That's what I want to know. Does he just Lenny them to death?
He might.
Say Lenny.
It's all the same cat. Shut up.
Forever?
Yes, I did write spot. Good work changing your spots.
You picky shit, Spot.
Aw, she's adorable.
Although it could be because the computer was corrupted, and rather than it being cat food he wanted, it was actually just like mulched up cigars.
Cats would eat that.
And then probably die.
Yeah, and like again, another joke that just didn't work for me was the Data acting like a cowboy.
And not realizing he
like doing the cowboy walk and just like.
Was that the only way they figured out that it was? No, because they knew it was
No.
Data
Yeah,
because his
no.
poetry was popping up.
Yeah, they knew.
And there was cat food in the mess hall.
And they kept playing music that Data liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
Yeah, not great. Not
No,
great.
no. It really just should have been more, let's watch Spiner be 18 different people. That probably
I'm
would have
fine
been...
with that, yeah.
That would have probably been a way better episode.
They should have killed Alexander.
Yes.
I did write, riveting! Let's watch Alexander make a withdrawal from the bank! What a great holodeck program.
Yeah.
They did cut a whole scene that was supposed to be with Alexander pulling a Ransom of Red Chief style thing.
The hell is Ransom of Red Chief?
It's a short story, I forget by whom, but I know I've read it before, about these robber folks who kidnap a young boy, planning to, ask for ransom from the parents and, make a bunch of money and then run away. But this kid is such an annoying brat that the parents don't even fucking respond, and then the two robbers get so annoyed by how bratty and annoying this kid is that eventually they just give him back.
That's amazing.
That's the gift of the Magi.
Thank you, Jake. No, that's Peter Pan.
I don't know.
Gift of the... What the fuck?
You guys know the Julius Caesar ransom story? Have I told that one before? This is true. This is a real historical thing.
Oh god,
Ancient history?
It is ancient history.
Nice.
Julius Caesar, when he was a young man,
hot.
Sure,
Probably.
a young, wealthy military general guy. I mean, military general. He was just a rich man. If you were rich in ancient Rome and wanted to be a general, you just made yourself a general and got an army and hired an army. But anyway, point is, so piracy was a huge problem in the Mediterranean in these times, as you can imagine. So
People selling bootleg DVDs.
exactly.
Downloading things on Napster.
Caesar.
I like Caitlin.
I don't remember if he was on his way back from a campaign or what, but his boats got boarded by pirates. They got attacked by pirates, and he was taken prisoner, and he was held in the pirates' camp. He was such a charismatic and likable person, just in general,
But they kept serving him tossed salad and scrambled eggs.
No, so the pirates and Caesar became like buddies while he was at hostage, and
Reverse Stockholm Syndrome.
So the pirates, the way the piracy worked back then, and to an extent still works today, sent a ransom, request back to Rome. It's like, hey, we'll release Caesar if you give us 300 quatlus or whatever. And Caesar was like, no, that's insulting. That's way too low. I'm worth way more than that. I demand.
I think I have heard.
I will not leave unless you demand more ransom for me. So they did. So the pirates, and he was friends with them, so they thought. So they did. They demanded more ransom, and he's like, "Okay, that's an acceptable ransom." so then they let him go as promised, because there's honor among thieves, whatever. They let him go, and then he goes back and slaughters them all. He goes and gets his army, slaughters them all.
Jake. That was Gift of the Magi.
That was different. That's right. I'm probably butchering that story to an extent, so a history geek can correct the details. But it's something along those lines.
You ever sit on the lap or lean
Apparently,
like
back
I
in
feel
the
like
days,
Liz will be that history geek. I can't wait to hear her.
back in the days of the ancient West, it was common practice to, I'm not kidding, steal the corpses of loved ones and hold them to ransom. And there was actually a plot to...
Your loved ones or someone else's loved ones?
It's
Yes.
someone else's.
Okay, that was unclear to me.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, they would, like, basically, grave robbers would dig up your loved ones and be like, if you want their body back, pay us.
If you don't give me $1,000, I'm going to mutilate the body of my own
yeah,
sister.
And there was, so there was a scheme, actually, that was just barely foiled to
Gift of
do
the
this
Magi.
with the
Monkey's paw.
corpse of Abraham Lincoln, but they kept it from happening.
It was very common in I don't know, corpses just made me think of this. It was very common in the ancient times, back in the early days of photography, because photography was an expensive thing. It was a luxury for most people.
Yeah.
Because you had to hire, you didn't just have a Kodak at home. You had to hire a photographer.
Wait. What Instagram filters did it have on it?
It
Only had sepia.
Yeah, all of them had the Old West filter. So it was very
what do they
expensive.
call it? Daguerreotypes?
Yeah. Early
Daguerreotypes.
photographs.
That was the filter. Daguerreotype.
So a very common thing to do for the deceased
Oh, yeah.
was to get death portraits.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which was where they would set you up, a corpse, in a chair.
Yep.
They would pin your eyes open. They'd dress you up, put makeup on, make you look alive.
Yep.
And take your picture.
If they would weekend at Bernie's that shit.
They
Do
would
we think this is where we come up with the practice of making
And
people
they-
up really nicely?
and
for
they would do
funerals,
it, and
or-
they would do it with because obviously infant mortality was pretty big back then. They would do it so a lot of times you see those pictures of little babies that is like, wow, that baby's really posing for that photo. That's because it's a dead baby.
Oh no!
I like that the way you phrased that, though. Hey, infant mortality was really big at the time. It was a trend that people enjoyed participating
People just kept killing their babies. Look at these great portraits taken.
So...
Little fucker wouldn't sit still. So
we've been talking about corpses and ransoms and shit. Are we done with Fistful of
Beloved
Garbage?
pets, too. That was another one. That they would often put dead beloved pets.
All right, let's move on to what
why
I
can't
feel...
people just taxiderm their pets like normal people?
I know, seriously.
I feel this was maybe the first really pretty good episode of the season, I thought.
I thought you loved Time Zero, Chris.
Yeah.
I loved part 1. Part 2 was a little weak.
Whoa.
Wow.
You best of both worlds, that.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a
Quality of
good
Life,
episode.
interesting. Terrible title.
Yes.
Yeah, what the fuck does that have to do with
God-awful
anything?
No,
It
because it's
doesn't.
what are the qualities of
Still
life?
awful.
Yeah, it's a pun.
Do anything
I
else.
hate it even
I'm not going to
more
lie.
now.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah,
I just thought
it
they
took
were
me a while thinking about it. I was like, oh, I get it, because he spends half the episode trying to find out what means
Yeah.
life.
So what I liked about this...
It was directed by Jonathan
What
Frakes.
means
for him.
life?
Frakes is a good fucking director.
He's
I like
doing
a
a lot of good
lot of the
directing.
episodes. He directed one of the best of the movies.
On top of being the greatest
and,
fucking shuttlecraft.
He directed the one with the
pilot
whales.
ever.
That's right. And he also directs. He directed two episodes, I think, of Discovery.
He's done some
so
Discovery
far.
and a bunch of
What? He did
He's done-
Discovery? I
yeah,
didn't know
he did
that.
Discovery
That's
and-
awesome.
They're really the good episodes.
I was gonna say, were they good
Some of the
episodes?
really the best
Which
episodes.
ones are you
Were
calling
they-
the
were
good
they the
episodes?
Harry
of
Mudd
Discovery?
episodes?
Okay, well, for example, he directed the one this season with
Season.
with the church.
That's a good one.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, that was probably the better one of this season.
And he did, and he's done a
So
handful
far.
of Orville
There's
shows.
like 4 episodes so far, as
Three,
as
just
time
3.
of recording.
Yeah.
I thought episode 3 was good.
I
But
was
we're not there yet.
less excited about episode 3, but anyway.
So yeah, he's done a bunch of Orville. He's done some disco.
He's done Orville as well?
Yeah.
We just said that.
I didn't hear it. I was too busy being freaking
Yeah, so
amazed by Discovery.
he actually does a. He's.
I'll not be
he's
freaking amazed by Discovery.
He's got good chops as a director, I think. Hopefully he comes. I hope he does some episodes of the Picard show.
That'd be good.
Oh, yeah, and he and Picard get along. It's cute.
But yeah, so I think what I like about this one is that the last time we did something like this, of course, was Measure of a Man.
No, the last time we did this was Evolution. Or, no,
Oh, yeah.
the last time we did this was The Offspring.
Yeah.
So-
Which one was Ugly
Lol.
Bags of Mostly Water?
That was Evolution, right? No, that was...
That was
was
something
that?
else. That was something else entirely. That was...
Home Soil.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess the first big time we did this, I should say. Well, so I came in my mind, I was thinking Measure of a Man a lot. Because it's like, oh, with that it's different because we as the audience, we're already automatically in Data's corner. This is a
I
little...
wasn't.
The rest of us were automatically in Data's corner.
Data? I didn't think Data was acting in character all episode.
No, Measure of a Man, not this.
Oh, Measure of a Man.
Yeah, Measure of a Man.
I'm sorry.
We're automatically in Data's corner.
Home soil.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what it was.
I just said that twice already.
I missed it. But in Measure of a Man, we're...
Jonathan Frakes directed some Orville.
What?
Measure of a Man, we're automatically in Data's corner.
True. Okay, yes. Agreed.
Here, we have to be convinced as well that...
I was never convinced, is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
That's
But that's what I mean. Like, so it's interesting to have it this time where we're not... You know, when there's, like, the discussion, we're not just like, no, of course he's alive, assholes. It's like, we don't know these things any more than anyone else does, really. So we're a little more like, oh, this is a little...
I know, Bev's definition of what is life was
What is
weird.
life? Baby, don't hurt me.
I like that she was battling with Worf.
That was weird. That was the one thing I was like, what? Why is she suddenly taking up the Batleth? That's strange.
She's taking it up the Batleth, all right.
Yeah.
But I also like the way it went, because I was like, oh shit, is this going to be one of those machine gains sentience and turns evil things? It's like, no, it's a machine potentially gains sapience, rather. And
Sapience? You mean sentience?
No,
No.
because remember we discussed
They don't have senses.
They do have senses.
What
Things-
sense do they have?
They were
They
able to-
kind of have a computer sense.
Self-preservation.
they were able to detect the thing that
That's
nobody
fair.
else was able to detect.
but we also
They have a special sense.
yeah. But either way,
Spidey sense?
they're potentially alive, but they're not evil. They're just little funny
Things that don't want to die.
Yeah, which
just
is
because
fair.
you said so.
Yeah.
Fucker.
But and I think that the one big critique I have here is that Data does say, "Oh, they're alive," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, but we use things that are technically alive, like plants are alive. We eat them."
Yeah.
We use things that are technically alive for all kinds of things. So it's saying that the fact that these things are alive.
Bring a canary down a coal
yeah,
mine.
well, that's
Well,
probably
we probably
that's
don't do
probably
that
frowned
anymore,
upon.
but-
Well, he does live in an era of replicated food.
and
Yeah,
replicated canaries.
But that's the same. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like you would like. There is no question that in Star Trek they use life forms
Yeah.
as tools to do things.
Well, if TAS is canon, the TOS uniforms were made out of algae, remember?
There you go.
Just dumb.
So I think that my big issue here is with the script, and it's not even a big issue, but it is the biggest issue I can make, I think, is that he keeps harping on, are they alive? When really he should be saying, are they intelligent life? Are they sapient?
Yeah.
That's
Because
true.
That's
more
the real question.
That's more because you
If
could.
you ask Data, sacrifice Spot to save the captain, he'd kill 5 more Spots.
Yeah. But I feel like there's also
Sorry,
that
Spot.
you could have very easily drifted into
don't know
a
if he would.
religious debate. Do they have a soul?
Which is what that judge said about Data. And it's
Do
like,
they
that
know
isn't
it's
what we were talking about.
Christmas?
In between bouts of banging Picard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like that it was sort of from the other angle.
I
like
felt
that
like,
it
I felt
wasn't.
like I felt like it was kind of a weak argument though, because I think I was never convinced that maybe it is that talking about are they alive versus are they intelligent?
Yeah.
Because are they alive isn't quite it's not a good
Better
example.
not go into the shower because all those bacteria on you are gonna get fucked up. That soap's gonna eat right through them.
Yeah, I will say, so when I first saw them, like I said,
They're cute.
Well, so the design, I was like, I don't know about these because they just felt too much like that would have been like a toy they would have tried to have sold me. Like it's the new GI Joe battle tank with swappable gun mounts. But by the end,
I'd buy one.
the design had won me over, and that one little one waved goodbye, which I thought was sweet and sad.
They were puppets. It was very cute.
Nice.
They actually had up the puppeteer underneath in like a green suit that they had to crop out later, doing the little waving of their fingers.
Oh, bless.
They were very cute.
Yeah, no, the design won me over pretty quickly.
They reminded me of Wall-E a bit.
Wow.
In that type of robot cuteness.
Yeah, when they're
I
little,
can see that.
yeah, their little like feet are shaped vaguely like his treads.
But this is a. At first, I was a little bit like, okay, we're just relitigating the same. I mean, I found that the closest episode to this one in terms of what they were debating was evolution. And
Remind me which one evolution
so
is.
that was the one where Wesley invents sapient.
That's right, the nanobots.
Oh, the
right?
nanobots.
Yeah,
And we have to decide if they're a life form that we, or that,
and they try to kill that guy that likes baseball.
yeah. And
Yeah,
they try to kill that
Stubbs.
guy. The guy from Stubbs from Scrubs.
That's fine.
And So yeah, and like, because that episode pretty much had all the same markings as this one.
That's true.
It's something
That's
that was created by people. They were, but the big difference was that the nanites at first appeared malicious and were actually causing damage to the ship.
Right, but they because they couldn't.
Whereas these guys aren't doing damage; they're just striking. They're refusing to do work that we want them to do.
Yeah,
which is fucking up Dr. Fancy Eyes, Dr. Farallon's
Dr. Fancy Eyes
particle fountain thing, which they really badly need to okay this thing like today
for some reason
when it's far from ready to go.
Yeah,
I'm guessing it's probably more like a grant thing. Like
they said they wanted to use it on another planet for something or other.
Yeah, but I think probably the idea is, hey, this is a potentially groundbreaking technology, but it requires funds.
You know what drove me nuts? So, they're talking about what a big deal it is making this particle fountain thing. And then whatever breaks, and she says, "Oh, here's that other invention I was telling you about, Geordi. Here's this exocomp." And I'm like, "Why didn't you lead with that?"
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, seriously, if you
that's an even better invention.
I bet she could have like sold those to Starfleet.
Oh, yeah.
And made way more money for her.
And
other projects.
they would never
what
care if it
sold?
was
I thought
intelligent.
what kind of money though?
Barter. She could have gotten equipment and raw materials.
Exactly. That's the thing. They keep saying, "Oh, Starfleet's a moneyless society," but that's total bullshit. There's
There's got to be something.
Like the fact that mining exists.
Yeah. Well, you need raw materials.
Yeah.
It's a matter of distributing the raw material.
Or you go somewhere where they do have money. You go sell a shitload of them to the Ferengi.
Or even like manpower. Like you need more people working on this thing. Maybe we'll send some of them your way if it's actually worth doing.
Sell them to the Klingons. They can make battle versions that have tiny knives pop out of the end.
So anyway, I was at first I was a little bit like, yeah, this is we've tread this ground before, but I think that this arguably is the best time. And I won't say I'm not including this. I'm not saying this is a better episode than Measure of a Man, but I think it addresses the issues in a new and interesting way.
Yeah.
I won't argue with that.
What was Measure of a Man again?
That was Data. Is Data alive?
Oh,
when he goes on trial and
Sorry.
Picard bangs his JAG officer and
Jagged off.
He jags her off.
jagged off
Yep.
all over her.
Oh God.
Oh, you know what we start with? Actually, what ties these two episodes together is Geordi is really trying to make his beard a thing.
Yeah. Why did the beard get an arc?
Well, Geordi, what's his fucking name?
LeVar
Burton wanted the beard for his wedding, so he convinced them to let them have the beard, which means that they had to talk about the beard because it was different.
Wait, LeVar Burton's married?
But they didn't talk about Riker's beard ever.
No, that's true. They didn't.
Because that just showed up in the second season. They didn't have to talk about it.
Maybe because they knew it was going away. I don't know. Oh God, I will say, so I liked the episode, but that whole opening sequence was pants and could have gone.
Was that the poker scene?
Yeah.
I thought Bev was making a terrible bet right there.
Yeah.
It was so uneven. Because if she won, all three of them would shave their beards. If any one of them won, she'd have to change her hair.
Yeah, but everybody's only I think the point is that every one person is only putting up one.
Here was my
appearance change.
I had an addendum that would make it just a little bit more special. Where if Bev won, they all shave their beards. If Geordi won, Bev goes blonde. If Worf wins, Bev goes brunette. And if was the other one Riker?
Riker.
And if Riker wins, she goes like jet black.
If Riker wins, they fuck.
Well, yeah.
That was implied.
Yeah, but that whole sequence was just tedious.
I liked it though, because I liked her being like, yeah, it's like you men have something to hide. And I was thinking about like how people always talk about women wearing makeup as like, oh, what are you hiding? It's the same thing with beards. Some people look fucking completely different without a beard, and not usually in a good way.
That's true.
I mean, I've said before.
Most beardy people do not look good without beards.
No, I look terrible without
that's
one.
why we
You
do
don't
it.
look terrible. You just look young.
I
look
also
like
just
a baby
hate
face, that's
shaving.
all.
I just have 5,000 chins under this beard.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean,
It's a lot of
I
chins.
know.
Yeah, no, I don't like how I look without it, and I hate shaving. It just, again, I cannot not cut myself. I'm terrible at it.
I used to like when Jake used to shape his into the Riker beard, but you don't do that anymore.
Shaping takes effort.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
I will say, it did feel a little unfair to Worf, though, just because that is clearly just a Klingon cultural thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they all pretty much have facial hair, I think.
No, I know, but I just thought it was kind of a nice turning on its head of like,
yeah,
women who wear all this makeup. Oh.
Yeah, no,
I kind of enjoyed it.
LaForge and Riker, it's totally fair. With Worf, it seems like, no, it's his culture, though. It's like claiming a Sikh has something to hide. It's like, no, it's actually just part of his religion.
That's fair, yeah, but Sikhs are also religious. Would you call Klingon a religion?
No, but I mean, it's a cultural thing. Like, yeah, Sikh is not a fair comparison, but it's still...
I'm trying... Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think cultural things...
It's like the Dothraki. They keep their beards until they lose a fight.
They're braids.
Braids. Is it their beard?
And their bells and shit.
Braid beard? Oh, no, it's their head,
it's their
isn't
head,
it?
their hair.
I thought it was the beard for
That's why Daenerys has so many braids at the end.
I like this theory.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example, though, because I feel like...
Of what?
Of things like what Chris is saying, where there's a cultural norm that is not religiously associated. And I can't, because I was like, okay, what about...
Kilts! Wearing a kilt.
Okay, so, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye at telling a Scotsman, hey, you gotta wear pants, dude. I can see your D&Bs.
D&Bs!
I don't think... so if we're saying that the beard... That the Klingon
they're
beard
gonna
is
do
like
it
a
anyway.
kilt... If the Klingon beard is like a kilt, whatever. But if it's like, I was going to say dreadlocks, and that is a religious thing.
Yeah.
Is it?
For Rastafarians, it is.
Yeah.
Really?
The origin of it is religious. That's why it's even more...
Wait.
White trust fund kids, it's a fashion statement.
Oh, God. Every time I see a white person with dreadlocks, I'm just like... And then
I might be a Rastafarian. Like, you can be a white Rastafarian.
So I didn't know that... Okay, so here's my ignorance showing. I didn't know that Rastafarian was a religion.
Yeah, it's a religion.
I had no fucking idea.
I didn't either, so...
Oh, okay,
cool.
cool.
We get to
That's
be
why.
done
That's
together.
why the joke for the flying spaghetti monster is pastafarian.
I
I just thought it was a great word.
Yeah, I also thought that. That it was a great word. Wow. So, like,
Man, that's a meme I haven't heard in a long time. The flying spaghetti monster.
I think because it's just like, there's...
People take it seriously, dude.
It's true.
It's not a meme.
I feel like there's better ways to express one's...
disdain for the religious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I feel like the flying spaghetti monster kind of got co-opted by douchebags. Like, people who can't just be contrary to religion, but they have to be contrary to religion in a shitty way.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to disagree with you. I'm going to belittle you. Sort of
Yeah,
thing,
exactly.
I do that all the time.
So, this episode.
Yeah, so this episode. So Data decides that let's not use the exocomps because they're alive. Let's just send wave after wave of engineers at the problem. Which makes me realize at the end, Data's new prerogative has emerged to kill all humans.
Kill all humans, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be within his rights.
Yeah. So obviously the big moment in this show was the refusal to let them beam the exocomps over.
He turned the fucking transporter off.
I know.
He should be fired for that.
That is one thing I wasn't crazy about, is that because remember after he disobeyed the order when he was captaining the what's-a-fuck ship.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sutherland, I think?
Yeah, Sutherland, and revealed the Romulan invasion fleet. He went straight to Picard and was like, I'd like to submit myself for disciplinary action.
Yeah, because I didn't follow a direct order.
Disobeyed a direct
Disobeyed,
order.
thank you.
And Picard's like, well, yeah, you're right. I should probably give you a slap on the wrist, but at the same time, you basically saved everybody, so
cancels
we'll let it
each
go.
other out.
Whereas in this case, I feel like Data, instead of going to Picard, hat in hand, he went to Picard and was like, well, let me explain to you why I violated the order. And in which case, if I was Picard, I'd be like, whoa.
They could have skipped that whole part and just had the exocomps turn off the transporter themselves, because they do it anyway.
No, I think it was important. I thought it was important that he disobeyed the order and he stood on principle and...
I've never known Data to have these kinds of principles. It was very
because
unusual.
He did it on the
Sutherland.
Sutherland.
This is also where he found that he felt like he wasn't so alone, because there was this life coming from these little exocomps.
Yeah,
Am I wrong in that? Like,
yeah,
I feel like
he found an RC car that he really liked.
Well, but I just feel like he suddenly felt like he wasn't so alone, because these creatures...
He's got lore somewhere.
Well, but I think that, yes, they're on an emotional level, that's true, but I also think that as a Starfleet officer, he could make the justification that the orders that he was being given
would be like genocide of a potential species.
They love doing that.
But that
sometimes
that's
they don't. It depends on the week.
Like he could I think legitimately make an argument if he had been brought up on charges he could make the argument that, hey, the orders I was being given, I believed were being used for
unethical
evil
reasons.
Yeah, unethical, and that's why I did that.
Well, it's sort of, to me, it was comparable in my mind to Balls.
Yep. Comparable to Balls?
No, to
That's weird.
When I can't think of the fucking episode title. You'll know it in a second. When Riker risked everything to try to save what's her name from Shitty Planet.
Outcast.
Thank you. So this was Data risking.
You got that from what's her name from Shitty Planet?
Yeah, we knew.
Yeah.
But
I love that episode.
This is Data risking everything for what he believes in. It's a very human moment.
Yeah, and I can't remember what episode it's from, but I seem to remember
The Outcast.
An episode where Picard lectures somebody about the excuse I was only following orders has been used to justify too many tragedies.
Yeah, I forget what episode it was,
but
but he's had
That's a good
had
one.
that speech.
And which is basically, I think, what Data's... like, he might have done it for the emotional reason that he didn't want to be the only sapient android. Well,
We all agree Data has emotions now.
absolutely.
He definitely has motivations that I think
Stem from his emotions.
Doesn't he need a chip before he has emotions?
He has a chip that he needs in order to express basic emotion.
Okay.
Express or
But-
feel?
Well, I think, yeah. But I think, see, that's the whole thing. Star Trek, and they did this with the Vulcans from day one, and they do it with Data now, has a very narrow definition of what an emotion is. Like, an emotion is, being happy, being, like the child, flashcard.
But he's like always
version.
confused, and isn't that kind of an emotion?
Well, I think...
Shouldn't nothing confuse him?
Well, I think wanting not to kill or not to enslave, I should say, some little robots because you believe that they are like you and you don't want to be alone.
That's compassion.
That's a compassion, and that's an emotion.
Yeah. I mean, at least with Vulcans, they had the fallback of saying, it's like, no, they just suppress. They don't not have them. But here they're claiming he doesn't have them, and that's hard to say is true.
Yeah, and I also think, like, beyond compassion, I also think it was empathic as well. Like, I think he was certainly...
Wait. Are we bringing Troy into this?
Yeah, fuck Troy.
Whoa, is she an empath?
I hadn't heard.
Did you know that Jonathan Frakes apparently directed a couple episodes of The Orville?
I know, right?
Did
crazy.
you know that Jonathan Frakes, the Orville...
Down to his knees.
Yeah.
His beard?
He calls it the Orville.
Jesus. Because he can fit hundreds of men on it at once?
Because he gives her a Redenbacher.
I don't know what any of this
I
is.
don't know. It means her butthole's red? I don't know.
Yikes.
No.
Anyway,
Don't use that.
Redenbacher. I hardly know her.
All
Yeah.
right, that's all right. I'll accept that.
No. I don't think I have a
Ames
ton
is so
more in this
disappointed.
episode. What did Worf do to Bev? Or was she actually fighting Alexander?
Or were they just having rough sex and
Like Pulaski.
and they had to talk loudly in sickbay
To cover it
to
up.
cover the...
Oh man,
Like they were both
that was
in bathrobes.
Sure a batlifting
Oh no,
accident.
this is a Klingon gi. These Klingon gis sure look and feel comfy like bathrobes, don't they, Worf?
The gi actually is kind of nice. It does look very comfy. Why is Farallon being such an evil genius? Doesn't she want to know more about her exocomps?
No, she wants to have her mining rig.
No, she wants
Yeah.
to fuck them.
Well,
I was
that's
gonna say,
interesting,
she
'cause-
wants him to delve deep into her
She
caves.
remind me a lot of Stubbs in this, right? Because
Yeah,
he was obsessed
very,
with that.
very tunnel visioned.
Yeah, he was obsessed with that, getting that once in a lifetime thing to happen.
Yeah.
And she's obsessed
And
with
baseball.
her ray gun.
Well, and that's the crazy thing. Is like, at least with Stubbs, it's like, if you don't do this now, this will never happen. With this, it's like, you have potentially a better thing sitting there. But okay, fine,
And it
whatever.
can fuck you.
Well, the other thing too is like how
Whether
pissed,
it likes it or not.
No.
How pissed is Maddox gonna be when he learns that some freaking mining lady figured out the secret to creating a sapient life
Well, the worst
form?
part is she didn't. She just kind of
Did
built
it- well,
something that built itself.
She did it by accident.
Yeah.
So she said this happened. This has happened before. And she's
Yep.
had to basically take them out of commission and start over.
Do you know she also mentions during one scene that I've seen an exocom go into a thing and vaporize itself. Does that mean it was depressed and suicidal? And then I'm like, Yeah, that's exactly what it means. You drove one of these things to kill itself, you
That's
monster.
so sad that a robot can get sad. Oh. Well, you were saying something else though, Ames? Or?
Oh god, if I was, I don't know what it was.
Anyway, I think this is probably the strongest of the season.
Yeah, no, I really quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a good little, like you said, discussion we've had before, but done in a really good way.
Yeah, I like
it. I have a feeling there's going to be better, and we're not going to talk about it ever again.
I think we'll probably get...
Here's hoping.
We'll get another dose of this, probably not until... We start getting some good is it life shit in Voyager with the Doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, Doctor.
So that's the other thing. I will agree. It's also probably because again, this is the first episode this season where I was like, oh, okay.
I've already forgotten all of the other episodes this season except for the fucking Time Zero nonsense,
which you will literally never be able to wipe from your brain.
The fact that they were working on 2 shows at once is really showing right now. It has been a really weak opening.
Well, and it's interesting is I believe. So next week, the episodes we're covering are the Chain of Command.
Spoilers.
And we will... I'm pretty sure those episodes were released to coincide with the premiere of DS9. Which also... They're both Cardassian episodes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you next week that you're wrong, but that's fine.
Oh, okay. Wait, when did these came out?
Right before these were.
These were in December.
These are the last episodes filmed before DS9
so they didn't coincide, but they were because it was January of '93 that DS9 came out. Yeah. And I remember that because it was a very short. It was a short first season, but then they still had a season premiere in September. So they basically had 2
premieres.
Yeah, well, it was just the first 2 seasons of DS9 are right on each other's backs. There was no real break between them, which I thought was interesting.
Does that mean that something got canceled halfway through a season and they just happened to be there to pick it up, or
No, I think they just it might have been a mid-season replacement, but I think it.
Yeah,
it was certainly
they
planned.
were planning on it. Regardless.
They always plan on mid-season replacements because they know shit's not gonna make it.
They did what they're doing now and just decided to have tons and tons of content.
But the other thing is, remember that Star Trek. Up until Voyager, DS9 and TNG were both in first-run syndication.
Yeah.
Which means that they weren't being produced by a network. Yeah. They were being produced by Paramount.
Who produced Voyager?
Well, so then Paramount launched UPN, the Paramount network.
38.
To be...
The Voyager network.
To be, Voyager was one of their launch shows.
Sort of like CBS Access.
It was what they meant to do with Phase 2, but that never happened. Yeah.
So DS9 and TNG were first-run syndication. I'm pretty sure DS9... I know TNG was. I'm pretty sure DS9 was as well. But they must have had a broadcast deal with somebody to air it. But anyway, so the point is, it wouldn't have been a mid-season replacement because a network canceled the show because they were already planning to release it. And Star Trek was super fucking popular at this time, too. So they would have been chomping at the bit to get a new Star Trek show.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Looking at these dates, this is before DS9, but I'm pretty sure Chain of Command was designed to get hyped up on some Cardassian stuff.
Well, let's talk about it next week.
All right, we will. In the meantime,
wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
Before we move on, was Star Trek really the only sci-fi that was on at the time?
No, there's tons of sci-fi.
What else?
So we're talking early 90s, Quantum Leap, Alien Nation, maybe? That might be a little late. I'm not sure.
Red Dwarf?
Outer Limits was still airing. X-Files.
X-Files. That's a good
Stuart
point.
watched
But X-Files is
Peaks.
more what's happening
Twin Peaks
on
isn't
Earth.
really sci-fi.
No, Twin Peaks is its own catastrophe.
People really love that show.
Wait, I have a question. Did Jonathan Frakes direct some Orville episodes?
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, this is the early 90s. Not yet, but pretty soon we're going to have Babylon 5. We'll be on... The Sci-Fi Channel had recently launched, or will launch soon.
Yeah, too bad it's not around anymore.
So yeah, there was sci-fi. Oh, and then there was a bunch of fantasy stuff, fantasy.
Oh yeah, we had Hercules and Xena.
Hercules,
this time, right?
Xena,
Beastmaster.
I don't remember if that was out yet. What was the undersea version?
Oh,
Sequest ESV.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Farscape Atlantis.
I'm kind of broadening this out. This is a little farther into the 90s, though. I don't think Sequest was out yet.
When did Farscape get started?
Farscape wasn't until
it was
early
later. It's
2000s.
A lot later, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. I was just curious. I was wondering what the landscape of sci-fi was at the time, and like if it was truly great writing or lack of availability that was leading to its popularity. Because I feel like, especially nowadays, like it feels to me like it's a lot more like, especially with the rise in popularity of Doctor Who and Star Wars being back, and like, you know, having movies, having shows, plus I'm sure a ton of the Orville.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious about.
Well, I don't know. I still think that there was more sci-fi when I was younger. Like there was a bit of a renaissance. I feel like 10 years ago, or maybe a little more now, with when we had shows like Heroes and.
I wouldn't call Heroes sci-fi.
Sure,
It kind of was.
Lost,
it's more fantasy.
Weren't they aliens?
Fringe.
Weren't they aliens?
Fringe is good.
Though? Well, but Lost wasn't aliens.
It wasn't aliens, but
it was
like sci-fi doesn't mean necessarily like a lot of Twilight Zone episodes are sci-fi that don't have aliens.
Fair enough.
You say
So-
Battlestar or no?
Battlestar, its spin-off there, Caprica. There's a good time in like the mid 2000s through like 2015 where there was a ton of sci-fi shit. And then there was a bunch of garbage like Terra Nova.
Oh, that was really recent though.
Not really. That Terra Nova was like almost 10 years ago.
No, it wasn't.
It was like 2011.
Wow.
It was. That's not
Yeah,
11
sliders.
years. That's not like 10 years
That's
ago.
That's 8 years ago,
That's,
though.
8 is almost 10.
It is almost.
I feel
10.
like we had already started dating when it came out. So
Wait, you guys are dating?
What? Oh god, that's right. There was that Tech War TV series.
Wow, I really
and then
thought-
there's some more recent. But I'm like up until 2015 because we also had stuff like Revolution and Under the Dome and
Was that Stephen King thing?
yeah, it was terrible.
Well, that's too bad because the book was
No, the book was dumb, and I didn't read the book, but it was dumb.
I liked the
because
first.
the show was so bad.
I liked the first several hundred pages of the book, which is what usually happens with me and Stephen King's books these days. Like, what's the one about the plague? Stand?
The Stand,
Yeah, the first 100 pages are great, and then it's bullshit, and I'm like, what just happened?
Dune, the Dune miniseries, that was a cool show. That's from a long time ago. That was like 20
anyway,
years ago.
my memory of shows I used to watch is next to nil. So
Yeah. Well, I
let's
think a
wrap
lot of
this
things
thing
are also
up.
trying to like copy the Lost formula. So we had like the 4400 and shit like that.
oh, I like the 4400.
Fucking Lost. Okay, I feel like Lost and Heroes really kind of fucked up genre television for a couple of years.
No, Heroes was good the first season, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then everything else
it
was,
was okay.
garbage, by all accounts.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't
like
watch it either. It looked like shit.
But your roommate did.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah, I ignored
Yeah,
it.
I watched it. I
watched
think
it.
I watched up until the 3rd season. And I was just like, nope.
That's a big nope.
The 2nd season was total garbage, but it was also during a writer's strike, so it was kind of like,
Yeah.
we'll give him a little pass for having a bad season.
Anyway,
All right.
we've already talked about what we're talking about next week.
Yeah, but
What are we
I'll
talking
introduce it
about next
anyway.
week?
So we are. So next week we will be talking about really one episode, but it is a 2-parter. But it's we figured we'd let it marinate and do a full episode on it. So that is going to be Chain of Command parts 1 and 2. So that'll be.
I feel like we're going to regret this and run out of things to say.
I might. So
That'll
we
be
might have
fine.
a short show. Who knows what'll happen? We haven't done it yet. And until then, you can find us on Facebook.com. I think we should quit Facebook because I heard they're evil.
I mean, they are, but I know no other way to get people's attention.
Well, I do. It's called
Jake
Twitter
shouts loudly.
and Tumblr. SSHB Podcast.
Everybody left Tumblr because they don't allow porn anymore.
They took down one of our top fucking episode lists.
Because we showed half-naked men in it.
Was that? Do you think that's why they took it
I'm
down?
sure
Were
that
there male presenting nipples? Because that's probably why.
well, what I'm sure it was
a scene
I'm
from
sure
Justice, so
it's like a
yes.
machine
Yikes.
learning
Yeah.
thing that just scans posts
Yeah.
for anything that looks like too much skin
Yeah.
and then
Probably.
auto flags it. So we had
Yeah.
a picture of the liar playing men from the Sex Planet, and they flagged that as porno.
They put it back up when we challenged it, though.
That's true. They were
Yeah,
good.
almost
They were
immediately.
quick. But still, it is a little bullshitty.
Oh,
I'd
incredibly.
say censorship on the internet, garbage. That's why the internet was originally. I feel like, do you remember in the 90s everybody had like a personal homepage?
Oh, yeah.
Like I feel like things are a little more democratized back in the day. Now everything's like, you don't have a personal website, you have a Tumblr.
Yeah, well, I'd say that was inevitable.
Or you have a Facebook, or you have a MySpace, or you have a whatever.
No one has a MySpace
I
anymore.
know people that do.
I think MySpace is still there.
I had a MySpace.
Yeah, I did too.
I got it. I took it down after I got threatened with legal action because my name on there was another person's name, and that person called me and yelled at me.
It's weird.
What?
So
Jake likes to stir shit.
there was a guy who I bought a car
call
from.
you, though?
There was a guy who I bought a car from.
Oh.
Who had
okay.
a really ridiculous name. So I made it my MySpace name because I thought it was so ridiculous. And then he tracked me down.
Like a dog.
And called me and yelled at me.
Like a psycho, by the way.
And said, we're all... And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And I gave him a shit, but I took it down. Because I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna... Why be a dick? That's basically what I said. I was like, it was funny when it was a joke, but now he's angry, so why be a dick? Anyway, so that's coming up. Tumblr, Twitter, you know the deal. SSHBpodcast.com. You can download this show and any other podcast on the internet. If you go to Twitter and Tumblr, no, they're not on
they're
Twitter.
not on there.
We are on there, but they're not our podcast. You can download our podcast from SoundCloud.com, and you can download us if you're a Time service. Time Tunes. Time Tunes?
Jake has run out of words for the day.
Find us on Tiny Toons.
Directed by Jonathan Frakes.
I'm sure they did a Star Trek parody episode.
Yeah, probably. Tiny Toons and on Juju and whatever.
I really have to pee. Can you wrap
All right, fine. Fuck it. We're done. Fuck you. I quit. Love you. You guys are great. Audience, thank you.
He's been Jake.
I've been Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This is always Caitlin. I really have to pee.
Oh, shit. Oh, it's all over the floor.